Members, I've got two messages to convey to the House. The first one is on the referral by His Excellency the President of the Finance Bill, National Assembly Bill number 30 of 2024, and bridging the fiscal deficit in the financial year 2024-25 budget. Honorable members, I wish to take this opportunity to welcome you back to the House after the just concluded short recess. You will recall that the recess was preceded by illegal access and damage to the precincts of Parliament by unauthorized persons at the tail end of the consideration of the Finance Bill 2024. We have ventilated on this and other pertinent matters during the members' Kamkunji this morning, and I commend members for the bipartisan discussions. Having said that, I wish to report to the House that on 27th June 2024, I received a memorandum from His Excellency the President referring the Finance Bill, National Assembly Bill number 30 of 2024 back to the House for reconsideration in accordance with the provisions of Article 115 of the Constitution. Members at the bar, take the nearest seats. This will be a little long. Take the nearest seats. Side poster. Take the nearest seats. Honorable members, in the memorandum, His Excellency the President expressed reservations on the contents of the bill in its entirety and recommended the deletion of all clauses of the bill. In making the recommendations, the President noted the widespread expression of dissatisfaction by the public on the contents of the bill. Therefore, the proposed deletion of all the provisions of the bill will accord with its general rejection by the public. Honorable members, Standing Order 42.2 provides that if a passage, if a message is received from the President at a time when the House is not in session, the Speaker shall forthwith cause the message to be transmitted to every member and report the message to the House on the day the House next sits. Consequently, in keeping with the provisions of Standing Order 42.2, on 27 June 2024, I notified all members of the message from the President and referred the memorandum from the President to the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning for expeditious consideration. Honorable members, following the submission of the memorandum, my office received several inquiries from members of Parliament and the general public regarding the fate of the bill and the manner of bringing the fiscal deficit arising from its rejection. Various misleading opinions have also been advanced on the fate of the bill following its referral back to the House. Given the gravity and import of the matter, I issued an explainer with a view to creating clarity and understanding on both procedural and legal tenets relating to the referral. Honorable members, one of the primary concerns then was on whether the President can propose the deletion of all operative clauses in a bill or indeed the entire bill. From the onset, I wish to clarify that the President's memorandum recommending rejection of the entire bill, though significant, was neither exceptional in our legislative history nor new to this august House. Members may recall that on 2nd May 2024, I conveyed a message from the President relating to the referral of the Penal Code Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill, number 56 of 2022 back to the House for reconsideration. In the memorandum, the President expressed reservation on Clause 2 of the bill, which was the operative provision in the bill, and further recommended its deletion. This essentially constituted a rejection of the whole bill. Similarly, members at the bar take the nearest seats. The nearest seats. Similarly, in the 11th and 12th parliaments, the then president referred the Central Bank Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 28 of 2014, and the Law of Contract Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 1 of 2019, back to the National Assembly for reconsideration. In both instances, the recommendation from the president was the deletion of the operative clauses of the bills, which in essence constituted rejection of the said bills. Honorable members, a strict reading of Article 115 of the Constitution shows that no limitation is imposed on the nature of reservations or indeed the recommendations that the President ought to make on a bill. Indeed, this is also reflected in the practice in other comparative jurisdictions. For instance, in the US Congress, the President, while referring a bill back to the House, may either choose to provide general recommendations based on the reservations, the bill, or propose the actual text to be added or deleted from the specified parts of the bill. Honorable members, concerns were also raised on whether the Finance Bill 2024, having been referred back to the National Assembly, would become law due to affliction of time on the basis of the provisions of Article 115 of the Constitution. For clarity, Article 115 of 6 of the Constitution states, and I quote, 115.6, if the President does not assent to a bill or refer it back within the period prescribed in Clause 1, the bill shall be taken to have been assented to the expiry of that period. For context, Article 115.1 of the Constitution provides that within 14 days after receipt of a bill, the President shall A, assent to the bill, B, refer the bill back to Parliament for reconsideration by Parliament, noting any reservations that the President has concerning the bill. A clear reading of these provisions reveals that the 14-day period applies the President's action regarding assent or refusal to assent to a bill. As soon as any of the actions contemplated under Article 115.1 is undertaken by the President within the timelines prescribed, the application of Article 115.6 ceases to apply. In this regard, I wish to reiterate that the Constitution ought not to be construed in a narrow or sophistic sense. The Constitution should be interpreted broadly and liberally in accordance with the guiding principles provided under Article 259.1 of the Constitution. Bearing this in mind, it becomes evident that the 14-day period specified in Article 115 is a timeline for the President's action and not a date when the bill automatically becomes law. Therefore, the concerns alluding to the possibility of the Finance Bill 2024 becoming law due to affliction of time were and still are unfounded and a miscomprehension of the provisions of the Constitution. This also explains why the House was not recalled from recess for special sittings. Honorable members, now that the regular sittings of the House have resumed, I wish to state that Standing Order 154.2 requires the House to consider the President's reservations within 21 days when the House next meets. Under normal circumstances, the House would have had 21 days from today within which to consider and dispense with the memorandum. However, noting that the memorandum had already been referred to the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning for consideration on the 27th June 2024, I've been briefed that the committee is yet to conclude its consideration and shall table a report to the House on or before Tuesday, 30th July 2024, that is next week. Honorable members, permit me at this point to remind the House of the Speaker's communication of 28th July 2015 concerning the consideration of the President's reservations to a bill and amendments thereto. Members at the bar, take the nearest seats. The nearest seats. Honorable members, permit me at this point to remind the House of the Speaker's communication on 28th July 2015 concerning the consideration of the President's reservations to a bill and amendments thereto. Take a seat, Honorable Member. As per the guidance, any member who wishes to move the House to reinstate any clause of the Finance Bill 2024 shall be required to marshal the support of at least 233 members of this House. This is in keeping with the provisions of Article 115(4) of the Constitution, which requires that such a proposal be supported by at least 2/3 of the members of the National Assembly. Conversely, agreement with the President's reservations and the recommendation to delete all the clauses of the bill shall only require the support of a simple majority of the members present and voting. This is in line with the provisions of Article 115(2)(a) of the Constitution, as read with Article 122(1) of the Constitution. Honorable members, when the memorandum will be scheduled by the House Business Committee for the clause-by-clause consideration of the bill, the House will convert itself into a committee of the whole House for that purpose. Any amendments to be proposed to the bill will be proceeded with in the manner I have guided. Honorable members, having conveyed the message from the President, I now wish to address the various measures that need to be undertaken to bridge the fiscal deficit arising from the rejection of the Finance Bill 2024. On the Division of Revenue Act 2024, Article 218 of the Constitution requires Parliament to introduce the Division of Revenue Bill and the County Allocation of Revenue Bill at least 2 months before the end of each financial year. Division of Revenue Bill divides revenue raised by the national government among the national and county levels of government. On its part, the County Allocation of Revenue Bill divides the revenue allocated to the county level of government among the counties. As members will recall, His Excellency the President assented to the Division of Revenue Bill Act 2024 on 10th June 2024. The Act provides for the division of revenue raised nationally between the national government and the county governments for the financial year 2024-25. In particular, the Act provides that the total shareable revenue is Kenya shillings 2.9 trillion, out of which 2.5 trillion was allocated to the national government and 400 billion was allocated to county governments. The revenue apportioned by the Division of Revenue Act was based on projections of revenue intended to be raised by the national government in financial year 2024-25. As such, the amounts in the Division of Revenue Act 2024 may only be realized if the projected revenues are actually collected by the national government. Any shortfall in the projected revenue collection has a significant bearing on the shares apportioned between the two levels of government. Honorable members, it's estimated that the rejection of the Finance Bill 2024 will occasion a financial gap of approximately 346 billion. This gap shall significantly impact the amounts apportioned by the Division of Revenue Act, the revenue due to counties under the County Allocation of Revenue Bill 2024, and the monies appropriated to finance the budget for financial year 2024-25. On the count allocation of Revenue Bill 2024, I am aware that on 10th July 2024, His Excellency the President did refer back the count allocation of Revenue Bill 2024 to the Senate for reconsideration in light of the anticipated fiscal deficit. Article 219 of the Constitution obligates the national government to transfer the equitable share apportioned to counties in the Division of Revenue Act without reduction. To ensure that the national government does not default on its obligations, the Division of Revenue Act 2024 ought to be amended to reflect the revenue that the national government is capable of transferring to the counties in view of the current reality. Failure to amend the Division of Revenue Act 2024 shall result in the national government owing a financial obligation which it cannot clearly meet. In addition to the proposed reconsideration of the count allocation of Revenue Bill 2024 by the Senate, it's expected that the chairperson of the Budget and Appropriations Committee shall introduce a bill to effect necessary amendments to the Division of Revenue Act 2024. On Supplementary Estimates 1, with regard to the monies already appropriated by the House to finance the budget for the year 2024-25, I wish to remind the House of the notification I issued on 12th July 2024, informing you of the submission of the first supplementary estimates for the financial year 2024-25, which I referred to the Budget and Appropriations Committee and the departmental committees for expedited consideration. The supplementary estimates seek to rationalize the financial year 2024-25 budget estimates to align with the revised fiscal framework and actualize expenditure cuts across the three arms of government, constitutional commissions, and independent offices. As guided in my notification on 12th July 2024, the Budget and Appropriations Committee is expected to table its report on the Supplementary Estimates 1 on or before tomorrow, Wednesday, 24th July 2024. The House shall thereafter consider the said estimates and the resultant legislation to give effect to the revised fiscal framework and the proposed expenditure reductions. The House is accordingly guided, and I thank you. Members at the bar, take the nearest seats before the next communication. Yes, Honorable Junet.
Mr. Speaker, I wish to comment on this matter.
You know, communication from the chair is never debated.
Mr. Speaker, it's true, but this is a very, very weighty matter, Mr. Speaker, the memorandum from the President on the finance bill.
Yes.
For the simple reason, Mr. Speaker, first, when you look at this memorandum, you'll realize that Kenyans have not yet come to understand very well on how Parliament operates. What stages that a bill goes through, the first reading, second reading, third reading, and also what happens when a bill is presented to the President for assent. So, Mr. Speaker, we used to have, as a friend of mine said that yesterday, that a colleague of mine, we used to have open days in Parliament where people used to be taken through these processes of the bill making, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is a very, very important decision that has been made on a very important bill in this country, Mr. Speaker. And you know very well, before we went on recess, how emotive and how controversial this bill was, Mr. Speaker. And there are people in the country, our voters, who believe that this bill is becoming a law, Mr. Speaker. They believe that this bill is going to be implemented. But Mr. Speaker, and this is an unprecedented situation, because this is the first time since I came to this Parliament 10 years ago that a bill, the President has deleted every clause of a bill, Mr. Speaker. I'm not sure whether he has deleted even the title of the bill. We need to check that in the memorandum. But he has deleted every clause of the bill, Mr. Speaker. It's unprecedented. It has never happened. In the last 10 years, we used to have a memorandum that comes to the House where the president could have issues with one clause, 2 or 3 clauses. This is the first time that a whole bill has been deleted. What does that mean, Mr. Speaker? If you ask me as a legislature here, because you have to raise 2/3 numbers to undo what he has recommended, according to me, this bill is, what do they say? Dead as a dodo, Mr. Speaker. They say dodo is an animal that used to live in Malaysia, which is instinct now. So the bill is instinct as we...
Malaysia, Madagascar.
Madagascar, you're right, Mr. Speaker, in Madagascar. So, Mr. Speaker, this bill as we speak is dead because I don't think we have the capacity to raise 2/3 in this House, and we don't intend to do, because of the whip, I will not provide the 2/3 from our side to undo what the president has done. So, Mr. Speaker, it is very important to give clarity to our voters, to give clarity to Kenyans that this bill is dead. We only need to agree on a burial date where we are going to do the burial rites, and we bury it properly and we forget about it. In our area, it's called Teruburu. We just do the Teruburu and we finish with this thing, Mr. Speaker.
You've made your point. Okay. Give him the mic.
My last point is this, Mr. Speaker. In your communication also, other than the issues that came back from the presidency, is the issue of how to deal with the supplementary budget 1 and the county revenue allocation. And Mr. Speaker, I want to urge this House again. Let us look at those things objectively. It is this House that can know where to cut that money from in the budget, Mr. Speaker. And I want to urge the budget committee to sit down and look with a tooth comb the budget that was passed and make sure that we remove excess baggage and excess fat from areas that Kenyans don't need money for. Let us not touch issues that are very important to Kenyans. That is the work of the budget committee. Let them stand up to the occasion, and the majority leader has been a budget chairman for 7 years. He knows, he can guide them. Let us not cut the money from where we think that the Kenyans will feel paid. So, Speaker, with those few remarks, I agree the deletion, and will be presiding over the burial of that bill when it is brought here.
Honorable members, I'm not opening debate on this. The communication is not to elicit debate, but Junet is right. The mischievous and misleading comments about the fate of the bill upon rejection unfortunately came from some of our own members here. Members continued churning out fake news to the public about the fate of the bill, to the effect that within 14 days, it was going to become law, which was false. One senior member even sent me a draft bill to repeal the finance bill that was not an act of law. And I politely reminded him that you cannot repeal an existing act. You cannot repeal a rejected bill. And this point comes home to all of us. The finance bill was the genesis, probably the catalyst of the events that we have witnessed in the country. Continuing to churn fake news about the finance bill is to compound the problem in the country. So I urge all of us to follow the procedure. Junet, you are right that it might be difficult for any member proposing to save a clause in the bill to raise 2/3 majority, knowing how this House operates. But under the Constitution and the standing orders, we must go through the entire rigmarole to make sure that the bill comes back to the House. You sit as a committee of the whole, you consider each clause. If there is nobody challenging the deletion by the president, you vote with a simple majority present and voting, meaning our quorum number being 50, half of that is 25. They can vote to 26 can vote to support the president's memorandum. Any one of you who wants to save any part of the bill, including the title, marshal 233 members when it comes so that you can vote to save it. Thank you. Yes, McLeod.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wish to, on behalf of the Finance Committee, to report that we've already met as a committee and done our report, and we are ready to table tomorrow morning, Mr. Speaker.
Excellent. Then we'll finish it even faster. Members on their feet, take your seats. I have another message to deliver. Bowen, stop greeting colleagues and take a seat. Honorable members, the second message from His Excellency the President is on nomination of persons for appointment to the offices of Cabinet Secretaries. Honorable members, Standing Order 42-1 relating to message from the President provides that the Speaker shall read to the House any message from the President delivered to the Speaker for communication to the House. In this regard, I wish to convey to the House that I have received a message from His Excellency the President notifying the nomination of various persons for appointment to the offices of Cabinet Secretaries. In the message, His Excellency the President conveys that in exercise of powers conferred on him by Articles 152(2) of the Constitution, as read together with Sections 3 and 5 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act 2011, he nominates various persons for appointment to the aforementioned offices. For clarity, Article 152(2) of the Constitution states, and I quote, "The President shall nominate and with approval of the National Assembly appoint Cabinet Secretaries." The names of persons submitted to this House for approval for appointment as Cabinet Secretaries are as follows. Honorable Professor Kithure Kindiki, EGH, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Interior and National Administration. Dr. Deborah Mulongo Barasa, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Health. Honorable Alice Wahome, EGH, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Lands, Public Works, Housing, and Urban Development. Dr. Julius Migos Ogamba, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Education. Honorable Roslinda Soipan Tuya, EGH, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Defense. Dr. Andrew Mwihia Karanja, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development. Order, 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 on order. Honorable Rosalinda Soipan Tuya, AGH, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Defense. Dr. Andrew Mwihia Karanja, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Agriculture and Livestock Development. Order, honorable members. Order, order. Honorable Aden Bare Duale, EGH, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Environment, Climate Change and Forestry. Order, Mr. Order, honorable members, order. Order, order. I shall not repeat. Order, Honorable Eric Murithi Muuga, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation. Mr. Davis Chirchir, EGH, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Roads and Transport. Dr. Margaret Nyambura Ndungu, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Information, Communication and the digital economy. In view of the foregoing and pursuant to the provisions of Section 8 of the Public Appointments, order, honorable members. Order. Honorable members, in view of the foregoing and in pursuant the provisions of Section 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act of 2011, as read together with the Standing Order 42.3, I hereby refer the message from the President together with the curriculum vitae of the nominees to the Committee on Appointments. Order, honorable members. Order. Order, honorable members. Can we listen to the communication? Honorable members, Section 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act 2011 provides that unless otherwise provided in law, the committee to which such nomination is referred shall consider the matter and table a report in the House within 28 days. It is therefore imperative that the Committee on Appointments immediately commences the process of consideration of the nominees. The Committee on Appointments is expected to immediately notify the nominees and the general public, commence the necessary approval hearings, and table its report in the House soonest to enable the House to consider the nominees within the stipulated timelines. I thank you. Next. No. Hakuna. Order. Yes, Junet, order. Order, honorable members. Junet, what is it?
Huh? Yeah. Mr. Speaker.
Order.
Mr. Speaker.
I'll come to you. Yes. Order, members. Yes, Junet.
Mr. Speaker, Kaluma. Mr. Speaker, they normally say in Parliament, what you communicate is what is communicated, and that is what is final. But I'm not sure whether this list is the same one, Mr. Speaker. We cannot change your records in Parliament, but we are really in doubt whether this is the real one. But we shall wait. Mr. Speaker, having said that, Mr. Speaker, I want to speak on this matter and say this. Mr. Speaker, this time and this period in Parliament, Mr. Speaker, I want to tell members, my colleagues, that vetting of this CSS is not going to be business as usual. This time, Mr. Speaker, and this time, Mr. Speaker, I repeat for the third time, if somebody is not suitable, if somebody is not capable, if somebody doesn't have the capacity, we are going to throw him out, Mr. Speaker. We must do justice to Kenyans, Mr. Speaker, and we must do our work properly this time, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I participated in the vetting of the last CSS, Mr. Speaker. We know what people told us in that vetting, and we know there are people who have come back. If your records of net worth is not colluding or is not balancing, Mr. Speaker, just know we will throw you out of the window, not even the door. Mr. Speaker, the responsibility of making sure who is suitable and who meets the requirement of becoming a CS is vested in this House, Mr. Speaker, through the Parliamentary Approval Act.
Honorable Junet,
I'm finishing, Mr. Speaker.
You are a member of the vetting committee.
Mr. Speaker, I'm concluding, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is this House that is going to make sure it is this House that is going to make sure, Mr. Speaker, Kenyans get value for their money. It is this House that is going to make sure, Mr. Speaker, if you know, brothers and sisters who have been nominated, if you know you don't qualify, please leave early before you come to this house. This time we will put you in front of Kenyans bare, Mr. Speaker. Bare, naked bare, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Kenyans are tired. And Kenyans are saying that they don't mind anybody becoming a CS. They want to have CSs in offices, but they want to have the right people who are qualified, Mr. Speaker. And we are going to do our constitutional mandate, Mr. Speaker, to make sure, especially for those who are in offices before and who have been brought back, you will see what we are going to do to you people, Mr. Speaker. With those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I am prepared for the vetting committee to kutana na hiyo watu mundu kumundu. Mundu kumundu. Mundu kumundu.
Thank you. Yes, Kamket. Remember, honorable members, we don't debate communication such as this. Yes, Kamket.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, while what you've read could be contradictory to what we heard the president announce, well, I would like you, Mr. Speaker, to confirm indeed that what you've read is actually what was communicated by the head of state. Number two, Mr. Speaker, I have heard the Honorable Junet threatening those cabinet nominees. The Honorable Junet, Mr. Speaker, while the bar must be raised high for anyone appointed to cabinet, Mr. Speaker, or any other public position, we do not also expect that we are going, or His Excellency the President is going to appoint angels into cabinet. So, in as much as Honorable Junet is here threatening those nominees, even him, Honorable Junet, he who comes to equity must come with clean hands. And therefore, he must not stand here and threaten the careers of other Kenyans as if he's a very clean man. Even him, we know him also, Mr. Speaker.
Order. Order. There is no motion against him here. Yes, Sunguli.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for the message that you have delivered, and I want to say that I'm sure that this time the list is very correct. And on behalf of the people of Narok, I want in advance to congratulate Honorable Soipan Tuya for coming back to a very important ministry.
Order, Sunguli. Order. Soipan is not a minister yet. She's only proposed. Kiborek. Order. Order. Let's hear Honorable Kiborek.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to, Mr. Speaker, will it be in order for the House to revet those CSs who have been vetted by the same House previously? My second point, Mr. Speaker, is there is many rumors going around that there's a broad-based government, Mr. Speaker. Is there a possibility that Mbadi doesn't want to sit because maybe it will be something in the next coming days, Mr. Speaker? Maybe the arrogance has started getting to his head, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, or maybe the humility, because I know Mbadi is a very humble guy. Maybe, I don't know. Or maybe Junet is an interested party, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Kiborek.
Mr. Speaker, I was asking, is it in order to revet those CSs who have been vetted before, Mr. Speaker? Lastly, Mr. Speaker, in the same House and the same Parliament to revet the CSs for the second time. And thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order, Honorable Kiborek. Under the Constitution and the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, everybody, whether they were in the dismissed cabinet or not, once reappointed, must be vetted by this House. In fact, the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act says the persons to be vetted include those appointed and reappointed. That is the law. So those who have been reappointed, of course, I've read in some public fora whether persons who have been reappointed after dismissal qualify to be so reappointed. Again, the answer is in the affirmative. Unless you have been dismissed for breaching Chapter 6 of the Constitution, unless you have been dismissed for violating the Constitution and being unaccountable in the management of public resources. The dismissal assigned no reasons for the dismissal, and therefore they are eligible for reappointment, and under the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, you will vet them and vote on their reappointment. Dr. Nyikal,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
last time you nearly assaulted me on the chair because I didn't give you time to speak.
Thank you today
I
for
hope now
giving
it mitigates everything.
this. Mr. Speaker, what we are discussing is so important because it is actually the crux of the matter of what is happening in the country today. The ministers, the cabinet secretaries were dismissed from public pressure because due to public pressure. Apparently, clearly, the public, going by what was happening, had actually lost confidence in the government. And when they invaded parliament, this was a loss of confidence on parliament and its credibility. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, the process that is now reversing that must start in the most transparent way, without doubt, absolutely. Mr. Speaker, what the president announced is definitely different from what you have read to us. Mr. Speaker, at that point alone, the public will not really have confidence in what we are doing, unless probably the president came and first of all made the changes. He has the ability to do that. But what the public knows of the people we are going to vet is actually what he announced. Now, what we are going to vet now is totally different. Mr. Speaker, what the people believe, whether they are right or wrong, is important. People act from their belief. And when they were running and attacking the National Assembly, it is arising from their deep belief that we do not represent their interest, we are not credible to them. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I find, and you really need to clarify this, why the list you have read to us is different from what the president read. We are starting from a very weak point on that basis alone, Mr. Speaker. We really need to preserve this country, and particularly this house. The challenges are going to be bigger. Leave alone the issue that you dismiss people and then you bring them back. The question is, why did you dismiss them in the first place? But leaving that aside, Mr. Speaker, that credibility is required. We should have the same list, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Dr. Nyikal, as a House of Parliament, we are a House of record. And the record we have is a communication from the Executive Office of the President. And it must be in writing and signed by the President. And it is right here. That is the President's signature, you can see. And that is the communication letter from the Head of Public Service. The President, like anybody else, has the right to change his mind on what he has decided. What is important is the record that comes to this House. And the record that has arrived in this House is what I have read to you. Remember that nobody will become minister, one, until and unless the President has written to Parliament, two, until Parliament has sat in committee and vetted And three, until the whole House has voted on the report of the vetting committee. That is what is important, Honorable Nyikal. We have had cases before where members were pronounced on media as having been appointed as ambassadors, and we have received communication that shows that they have been transposed from one station to another, and we have vetted them without question. In any case, the proposed names that I've read to you are not ministers until you pass in this House. So there's nothing inconsistent. Yes, Kaluma?
I thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I'm not fortunate to sit in the committee on appointments. But Honorable Speaker, let me tell the members of that committee something the High Court said a short while back as they go into that critical process before I make my last comment.
They includes yours truly here. I'm
Yes,
the chair of that committee.
You are the chair.
Yes.
You are the chair. And I'm your loyal assistant, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, in the year 2018, this is what the High Court said regarding public appointments under the new constitution. And I quote, Honorable Speaker, that August 27th, 2010, ushered in a new regime of appointments to public office, whereas the past was characterized by open corruption, tribalism, nepotism, favoritism, scrapping the barrel, and political patronage. The new dispensation requires a break from the past. The Constitution, sorry, Honorable Speaker. The Constitution signifies the end of jobs for the boys era. Article 10 sets out the values that must be infused in every decision-making process. Honorable Speaker, I'm saying this is a critical reminder to us because we are at a point in time when the nation is looking unto this House to provide the leadership it needs. Honorable Speaker, it is for this reason that last week, even as the ODM party, independent parties of Azimio also, we sat and said that the government of Kenya belongs to all of us. And Honorable Speaker, we met as ODM and we resolved so. I'm saying this because I don't want some confusion I've seen circulating. Somebody writing saying if members of the ODM party are appointed to government, they are going on their own. We met and resolved so. And Honorable Speaker, don't say no. When the ODM party speaks, even as the Mio has spoken, Honorable Speaker, there is a tendency coming up in this country. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Speaker,
Go on.
Honorable Speaker, let me explain to these people the law. Let me explain to these people the law. I will speak.
Order.
Honorable Speaker.
Order, honorable members. Honorable Jalas.
Yes. Yeah, we want to speak.
This is not a baraza in Langata. This is a House of Parliament. Go on.
Honorable, let me address, Honorable Speaker, what is in Article 232 of the Constitution. It says the public service will have the face of Kenya. All ethnic communities will be there. Persons of the gender quotas prescribed under Article 27 will be there. Honorable Speaker, as a person from an ethnic community, I will not agree to a position where people say everybody is in the government of Kenya except Luos. Yet Luos also pay taxes. Honorable Speaker, I therefore want to congratulate the President for the appointment, but request the President that within the week, as soon as tomorrow, we want to see those other appointments Baba was to forward to him. And we want all of them approved. And Honorable Speaker, if that can happen, then we are going to push this thing very fast. We cannot leave anybody out. And Honorable Speaker, let me send a warning. We want to tell people sending conflicting positions from the ODM to remember that they are on an interim position in those positions. We can remove them if we resolve a position and then they contradict it. This one has to happen for the good of the nation, and we are telling the government we are ready to serve to secure that Kenya moves properly. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Order, honorable members. Order. Next order. Next order. Next order. Order, honorable members, order, order, order. That order of messages is over. Order. Honorable Winnow, take your seat. Order, honorable members. We'll now go back to order number 2, where I have a communication. The messages are over. The message on finance bill and appointments is over. Honorable members, I have a communication. Order. Order, Honorable Were. Order. This is a communication on allegations of bribery of members of parliament in the discharge of parliamentary duties. Order. I don't want any assistance. Just do the listening, let me do the talking. Honorable members, I wish to inform the House that my office is in receipt of correspondences dated 24th and 25th June 2024 from various members of parliament regarding allegations of bribery of members of parliament during the voting on the Finance Bill, National Assembly Bill number 30 of 2024. The House, the honorable members include the Honorable Joseph Munyoro MP, the Honorable Joseph Kosgei Elmengit MP, the Honorable Jane Kagiri MP, the Honorable Kanyuitha Mutunga PhD MP, and the Honorable Didmus Wekesa Barasa MP. The Honorable Didmus Barasa MP also raised the matter on the floor of the House on Wednesday, 25th June 2024. In their complaint, the members allege that on Sunday, 23rd June 2024, the member for Juja, the Honorable George Koimburi, MP, was quoted across various media outlets claiming that members of this House who voted in support of the second reading of the Finance Bill, National Assembly Bill number 30 of 2024, were bribed with 2 million shillings each to do so. The affected honorable members sought my guidance on how to address this matter. In their estimation, the assertions attributed to the Honorable Koimburi, if left unsubstantiated, continue to bring shame and odium to members of parliament and paint the entire House in bad light. Honorable members, you recall when the matter was raised on the floor of the House, I did undertake to give a considered ruling at the next sitting of the House, which is today. In a related development, I wish to inform the House that I have also received a letter dated 22nd July 2024 from the Honorable Koimburi, titled Apology Letter. The letter indicates as follows, I quote, I, George Koimburi Ndungu, of ID number, elected member of Parliament for Juja constituency, would like to tender my apology to the House leadership and my colleague members of Parliament. I understand we are living on a very dynamic and sensitive times, and my utterances in the past may have caused some problems in the country. I'm remorseful and humbly seeking for forgiveness. As an ambassador of peace, I pray that peace do prevail in our country. God bless Kenya. Order. Today, honorable members, at the rise of the House Business Committee at 1:45 p.m., I did call the Honorable Kuimburi to ascertain his authorship of the letter. The Honorable Kuimburi did confirm authorship of the letter and further denied any claims that he had disowned the letter and its contents. The Honorable Member further indicated that he is currently away in Mombasa and unavailable to attend the sitting of the House until Tuesday, 30th July 2024. Honorable members, any allegation of corrupt practice, bribery, or attempted bribery is sustained on the privilege of the institution of parliament and deserves expeditious investigations and resolution. The practice and precedents applicable of the House require that any issue touching on the privilege of the House should be dispensed with as a matter of priority. I fully appreciate the pain and discomfort that the pendence of Honorable Koimburi's allegations continues to cause the affected members. However, I've reluctantly allowed the Honorable Koimburi to avail himself to the House by 2:45 p.m. on Tuesday, 30th July 2024 to explain his actions with regard to the complaint raised by the affected members and the context of his apology letter in the manner contemplated by the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act 2017 and the standing orders. Thereafter, I shall guide the House on any subsequent actions to be taken in the matter. That is accordingly guided. The House is accordingly guided. I thank you. Yes, Majority Leader.
Honorable Speaker, thank you for that communication. Honorable Speaker, we are well guided as to your directions on Honorable Koimburi. But Honorable Speaker, I'm a bit concerned because last evening, a gentleman from his office, who I'm told is his constituency office manager, delivered a copy of that letter, and the letter indeed you're alluding to, you will see, is also copied to the offices of the Leader of Minority and the Office of the Leader of Majority. Honorable Speaker, I was able to check after the House Business Committee this afternoon, when you raised the matter before the House Business Committee, that indeed the Honorable Koimburi's PA, when he delivered the letter to my office, the copy that was stamped in my office had only one stamp. But the PA had another copy which was stamped twice, because at one instant, the rubber stamp was upside down, and therefore it was stamped twice. And members will note, and Kenyans will note, that that is a letter that was circulating on social media, because I had to take great offense with my staff when I suspected they had circulated a letter on social media before I even saw it myself, because I was seeing it when I was already home after 8 p.m. But, Honorable Speaker, what worries me is that immediately that letter circulated on social media, the Honorable George Koimburi, on his own Facebook page, stamped it fake and said it was a fake letter. Honorable Speaker, it is the same letter that you are now alluding to, and you assert that you have spoken to the Honorable George Koimburi, and he confirmed it was his letter. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, even as the Honorable George Koimburi comes to shed light on what he said on the matters that were complained to, I think his behavior last evening, today, and the days before that, Honorable Speaker, brings into disrepute not just his image as an honorable member of parliament, but also the integrity of the office he holds, Honorable Speaker. And maybe we will wait to hear from him, but I just wanted to bring it to the attention of the House, the kind of member we are dealing with, so that even as he comes on Tuesday, he can also clarify as to whether these letters are fake, or he tells you it's fake. He says on social media it's fake. He tells you he's the author of the letter. We don't know which George Koimburi to believe, the one on social media, the one in churches, or the one who will be here. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, we'll wait for him, but I honestly do not know who the member for Juja now is. He has too many faces to be able to tell who the member is, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Honorable Maua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me a chance. Mr. Speaker, I want to support whatever the leader of majority has said. And Mr. Speaker, when you look at the letter that was circulating in the social media, together with whatever you have read, Mr. Speaker, it does not even detail the reason as to why he's giving an apology. So, Mr. Speaker, later on, Mr. Honorable Kaibori may say that he was not giving an apology on the level of the issue of the 2 million. So, Mr. Speaker, that letter is a bit ambiguous on the state as to why he's giving an apology. Mr. Speaker, we want to have, if at all we are to agree, a letter that is talking of an apology over an allegation that the members were given 2 million. But that one is vague and a bit ambiguous. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is a house of traditions. And that's why this house is called August House. Mr. Speaker, this member has made a number of unsubstantiated allegations against individual members of parliament, against the 13th parliament, and against everybody. As much as that apology, on the face of it, as a human being, I may be tempted to accept. But Mr. Speaker, because this thing has been so much circulated and it's all over, I want to beseech you to refer this issue to the Powers and Privilege Committee so that that document is properly subjected to justice. Justice means I want to go and appear as a witness and say the pain and the agony that I went through as a member who has been included in that particular bracket. So, Mr. Speaker, taking into account that this member has been flip-flopping also, I'm sure next time he will say he did not speak to the Speaker. And we do not want the integrity of the Speaker to be put on question. So I want to agree with the majority leader. For us to be fair, for us to be contented, for us to be satisfied, we beseech you to refer this to the Powers and Privileges Committee, and it will not only deal with this issue, it will also deal with any other member, any other will-be member who will be casting aspersion on the integrity of this house as a house and also individual members. So, Mr. Speaker, I beseech you. This will also give us an opportunity to amend if there are issues that we need to amend in the current standing orders or in the powers and privilege so that this house remains a respected house in line with the letter and spirit of the current constitution. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Dr. Mutunga.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I believe strongly that the Honorable Koimburi was in his normal senses when he stood on the pulpit of our church and made the allegation. Honorable Speaker, the follow-up activities do not in any way indicate that Honorable Koimburi was remorseful. I believe it is because your office contacted Honorable Koimburi that he has even written the vague apology letter. Honorable Speaker.
That is not true, Mutunga.
Honorable Speaker.
My office spoke to Koimburi this afternoon after issues were raised in the Kamkunji.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the correction. But let me adjudicate my point. Honorable Speaker, this letter has cost us a lot of pain and a lot of expenses. Wherever we go, Honorable Speaker, we are required, first of all, to deliver the 2 million before you can start doing anything. We are in a situation where members of parliament are branded in this country, and the circumstances under which this allegation was made were very, very severe. Honorable Speaker, we are in a situation where we need to redeem our image, and the Honorable Koimburi only put fuel on a burning fire. Honorable Speaker, I think we do not need Honorable Koimburi to come and give us stories here. I know, Honorable Speaker, you have the discretion, but the House, the committee should be given the responsibility that we may be able to go and tell Honorable Koimburi what we have gone through so that he may be able to suffer a bit because he has subjected us to a lot of suffering. Many people have lost their property because of such allegations, Honorable Speaker.
Mama Nairobi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute. Honorable Speaker, out there in the public, everybody thinks that Parliament has been under state capture. And when you have a member of Parliament that goes out there and says that he was paid 2 million shillings to vote yes, and he declined, it means that parliamentarians are not able to make decisions on their own. It takes me back to 2023. I made a decision to support the finance bill. In the social media, everybody said I had visited State House and I had gotten a package. I never visited State House. I have never met the president on a one-to-one. I have only met him in public functions. I think that when an honorable member makes such a statement, he should be put to strict proof. As a lawyer, I'm sure you understand that. If he cannot actually substantiate whatever statement he made in public, and we forgive him without him actually withdrawing and apologizing and saying he lied, then what it means is that we are coercing him to actually withdraw. We don't want him to withdraw. He said he was offered 2 million. Let him prove to us who offered him 2 million. If he lied about it, then he should be punished, because whatever he said out there implicates every member of Parliament. When I make decisions here, I make decisions based on my own reasoning, my own objectivity. Sometimes I've even gone against my own party. That means I'm not able, if I'm in Parliament as an opposition leader or government, I am not able to lose my objectivity as a citizen. And I think it is important that all of us in Parliament stand and affirm whatever it is that we say out there in public. And I really would feel ashamed if he was just forgiven and he came back, because whatever he said there makes it very difficult for us as parliamentarians to actually stand and say we are not bribed. We actually oversight this country's various institutions. What people are seeing right now is abject corruption that is not actually being dealt with. And this corruption is not because the parliamentary oversight committees are not doing their job. It is because the reports that we make as Parliament are not moving forward. And I think it is important for us as Parliament to look at all the reports that we have made over the years that actually call for the prosecution of various members of public entities and the entities that have failed to actually address the corruption that we have oversight. So for me, I really pray and hope that we shall actually make sure that this member of Parliament is put to strict proof on the 2 million shillings that he got. He really, unless he's suffering from amnesia, if he never got an offer for 2 million and he just went out there and made an allegation that implicates all members of Parliament, then he should be punished.
Wamumbi. You are the last one. Wamumbi is the last one. Give the mic to Wamumbi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, we have heard you loud and clear. Mr. Speaker, we are requesting you. We don't want Koibori to come and give an explanation. We heard what he said. Mr. Speaker, for these members to redeem their image and their dignity, Koibori must be punished, Mr. Speaker. For this House to continue, Mr. Speaker, Koibori must be punished, Mr. Speaker, because these members need to redeem their dignity. And those members who also voted no, they also need to tell us whether they were paid to vote no. We voted yes on our own volition, Mr. Speaker. So for this House to continue, for these members to redeem their dignity, Koibori must be punished. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order, honorable members. Order, honorable members. I did say that I shall guide the House on any subsequent actions to be taken on this matter. Next order. Next order.
Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Majority Leader. Yes.
The mic.
Naomi.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024. 1. Supplementary estimates, 1 for the year 2024-2025 from the National Treasury and Economic Planning and the following accompanying documents. A. Program-based budget. B. Recurrent estimate. C. Development estimate, Volume 1 and Volume 2. And D. Statement on financial year 2024-2025. Supplementary estimate number 1. 2. Legal notice number 105 of 2024 relating to the income tax, charitable organization, and donation exemption. Rules 2024, including explanatory memorandum and evidence of public participation from the National Treasury. Number 3, legal notice number 109 of 2024 relating to the road maintenance levy fund, imposition of levy. Order 2024, including explanatory memorandum and reports of the public participation from the Ministry of Roads and Transport. Number 4, report of the NGCDF Board on project proposals, approved disbursement status, and restrictions imposed on constituency account the third quarter of 2023-2024 financial year. Number 5, price stability target and economic policy of the government for the financial year 2024-2025, budget from the National Treasury. Number 6, the June 2024 special audit report of the Auditor General on debt servicing of external loans in Kenya. And number 7, the June 2024 special audit report of the Auditor General on the implementation of the Global Fund program in Kenya. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I beg to lay.
Order, honorable members, order. Order, honorable members, Honorable McLeod. Who is the member talking to Honorable McLeod? Take your seats. The House is in session. Honorable Babu Wino, take your seats. Those who are walking out for their coffee or conversations, do so without disrupting the proceedings of the House. Chairperson, Budget and Appropriations Committee. Is Honorable Ndindi Nyoro here? Yes, Mary Mase, are you ready with your report on supplementary estimates? You can do it later. Get in touch with your chair. Next, Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Trade, Industry and Cooperatives.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Tuesday, 23rd July 2024. That is the report on the Departmental Committee on Trade, Industry and Cooperatives on its inspection visit to the new Kenya Planters